You know something, I really get tired of looking at Twitter and seeing nothing but bad news and lies. Also, hi, I'm Jacky Wolf, your favorite little fuzzball of the internet. And today we're going to be talking about some big news. The biggest of news, actually. But let's get into that. Let's get into the discussion at hand. Alright, so for most of you who haven't figured this out, and this is on whitehouse.gov, I think, President Trump recently banned TikTok and WeChat, two social media networks that are a little bit iffy on certain things. Basically, they're noted for stealing users' data, but before you say, yes, Facebook and all of them do it too, but there has been evidence that WeChat and TikTok do it on a more aggressive scale worldwide. That being said, that's not really what this video is about, and I don't feel like going into the hundreds and hundreds of times of proof. But more specifically, we're going to be talking about Section 1. The following actions shall be prohibited beginning 45 days after the date of this order. To extend permit under applicable law any transaction that is related to WeChat by any person or with any respect to the property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States with Tencent Holding Limited, Chinese name, Shenzhen, China, or any subsidiary of that entity identified by the Secretary of Commerce under Section 1C of this order. So we move down to Section 1C. 45 days after the date of this order, the Secretary shall identify the transaction subject to this subjection. See Section A. And that's this. Provision B. The prohibition in subsection A of this section applies except to extent the provision by statutes and regulations, order, directives, or license that may be issued or printed by this order, notwithstanding contract entered into or any license permitted before the date of this order. Now, where a lot of people are getting messed up is what it says is any transaction that is related to WeChat by any person or any respect to any product or jurisdiction in the United States with Tencent Holdings Limited of that or any. This wording is bad legalese. It is lawyerese. I've actually had to have somebody slightly explain this to me several times because it to the eye it's like, oh well, they're banning any transaction with Tencent. Actually, no. A lot of this is simply they're not banning transactions with Tencent. They're banning transactions with WeChat, and it's the same thing with TikTok. And I know a lot of, well, they're stifling my voice because I'm a big TikTok. No, they're banning TikTok, and it's really overblown on social media right now because I've seen a lot of people, well, if you vote for Trump, you're voting to get rid of your game. That's also not true. This order specifically targets WeChat. I know it does it in such a weird way, but that's how legalese has to work. It's one of those weird things, like, ugh. Now, a lot of people are, on Twitter freaking out and talking about how this is going to affect gaming. And this is going to necessarily damage the economy because, well, Tencent owns a lot of gaming companies. But this particular piece by Polygon, who I'm not a huge fan of, I have said in the past that most gaming journos just seek to agitate. But for the gist of it, it explains a little bit more about it, about what's going on here. On Thursday, Donald Trump signed an executive order with the intention of banning the popular Chinese chat app WeChat. However, the executive order also took aim at WeChat's parent company Tencent, which owns large stakes in many major video game companies and franchises, including Riot and Epic Games, leaving their future unclear. However, the White House has since clarified that it will not be targeting video game companies with ties to Tencent. It also will not be targeting Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, your favorite websites that have ties to Tencent so that they can do business in China. Ultimately, what it is right now, it is largely just focused on WeChat, on this one particular thing. Though this is not going to keep people from freaking out. And this doesn't mean that in the future that this cannot be expanded. But at the moment, a lot of people were freaking out. A lot of people were scared. And I can understand why you're scared. I can understand why you're freaking out. But it's really just not worth it. Now, a large part of this is them. Oh, well, these are all the games that Tencent got stake in and might have problems. But at the moment, it doesn't matter. This is just aimed at WeChat. This is just aimed at TikTok, who have both had large amounts of people complaining about the exact problems they've had with security. It is easy to see how the order's language, which directly mentions both Tencent Holding and its subsidiary, would raise suspicious questions about the way video games fit into this. Tencent represents one of the most important investors in the video game industry, both in China and the rest of the world. Interesting thing about that, a lot of people don't seem to understand. In China, a Chinese company has to be invested in your company before you can sell things to China. That means China has to have part ownership, and of course this is just a list of companies that have dealings with Tencent, and this is not even the full list. Of course, according to the LA Times, the White House later clarified the executive order concerning WeChat only blocks transactions related to WeChat, not those involving other Tencent holdings. The ban itself won't go into effect till 45 days from August 6th, at which time the Secretary of Commerce will outline what exactly is and is not affected by the executive order. Again, at the moment, it is only WeChat, which has been caught stealing people's information off their phone. But it's not as bad as like the shadow YouTube, or not the shadow YouTube, the shadow Facebook account, the hidden YouTube account, or the Twitter personality that we all have and don't actually freaking know we have. Because that's how social media actually works, guys. It's all profiles of yourself. But yeah. And of course, there are 7 comments to this. Some of these are a little bit weird, and I really haven't read them. I really don't care. I will be putting these articles down in the postings below, though, so that you can read and make your own opinion. Because an informed populace is a good populace. Now, I would like to pay some respect to the first person that I actually saw this story through, which was Arch. He's sort of... It's an interesting thing. He's an acquaintance of mine. Now, one thing is, the information in my video is a little bit different than the information in his video. Reason for that is there has been time for there to be clarifications made about what actually is going on. I'm doing this more as, hey, don't be worried about it. It could happen, but it definitely probably won't happen. That being said, I would also like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Austarian Conclave. Those fuckers put up with me all the time. The Discord link will be in the description below. Mostly because reasons. You can catch me there whenever I'm not at work or I'm not working on a video. Anyways, I've been Jacky Wolf, and I dare defend my rights. See you later. Have fun. And play.